If you're a developer that uses AI tools to create their projects and or help them in their development, you may have heard of Claude AI. This tool is quite simply one of the best tools right now out there to help you in your project development, whether it's a side business or a side project. I personally have the max plan for it, which costs $100 a month. This may be useful for users that don't have a prompt capacity problem, meaning the max plan actually gives you a lot of leeway in terms of how many chats you can make. And personally, I think the pro version that you pay, $20 a month, and the free version is just not enough for consistent everyday project progress or development. So that's why I went with the max plan. But the point of this video today is actually to talk about project capacity, a sort of separate issue than the prompt capacity or the text chat capacity. Within Claude AI, each project has a sort of knowledge base, and you could actually connect tons of documents in it, create your own documents, instructions, and upload them to the project base so that Claude has context for whatever you're building. So project capacity is how much data your project could take in. And right now it's set to 200,000 tokens. Currently it's the limit for an individual plan. If you're considered an enterprise application and are able to onboard to Claude AI, you get 500,000 tokens. They say they have plans to increase that in the future, but as of now, we're going to have to deal with it. And this can be quite limiting, actually, because as your project grows, this limit will be easily hit. If you connect your GitHub account to the project, it is based on the repository code base that you have connected. Just the fact that you could connect to your code base and it reads off it is pretty damn cool, that's for sure. However, as soon as things really went along, given a couple weeks and then a month later, I found myself slowing down because obviously this increases and the code base meaning increases, then later counts towards your tokens, and then you're going to have to switch on and off constantly files that you don't need, and in terms of the next feature you're developing versus what you do need. And that constant flipping of switches can be a bit too much if you're a lazy guy like me. So project capacity in the long run for any project in general, whether it's small or large, I mean, if you're watching this video, maybe you're hoping to post it online so you could sell it, market it, and it's robust enough and secure enough to legitimately be put on a proper marketplace. So project capacity is a real issue when it comes to these types of apps. If it's just a weather app, you're not going to be concerned about it. So it becomes a blocker as you go along in the development process. And this chart right here, which I totally just made up, the typical Vibe Coders project, this was totally me for the first couple projects that I've had on Claude AI. So this is just a graph on time versus progress percentage. And you can see here, this was me within the first couple weeks, made enormous progress here. This is the cumulative progress. And then the velocity is this dotted line here. And it is really high. And then as the code base got bigger and time went by, when I started adding more files and more components to the project, slowly but surely, or not slowly, actually in terms of progress, it kind of dipped down really fast, because it got to a point where not only was Claude confused, but I was also confused on the arrangement of things. So, I mean, as a side, it is really important to be conscientious of how you arrange your project and where your files are. And over time, as you get better and better as a developer, you definitely get better with that. But now doing that alongside AI is a whole tangential skill that you need to learn as well. So, and then it comes to a point where you just stop because the code base is messy, Claude is confused, and most importantly, you are confused and you get discouraged because you're not making as much progress as you were before. I want to emphasize real quick that project capacity is only one part of the story in terms of obviously you stopping. It could be motivation, it could be other factors, your health and diet, whatever. I wanted to find a workaround, and you probably know what I'm going to talk about next. And it has served as a solution to project capacity for me. So technically, I could remove this repository code base from the project altogether. Let's get right into that. Model Context Protocol, yes, the big buzzword that everyone's using. It pretty much just allows us to connect our LLMs to external tools and services. That's pretty much the gist of it. That is a solution slash workaround. I found the project capacity issues that I was going through. It connects just directly to my file system, the project directory, and it could also just connect to your GitHub account. So it subverts the whole idea of capacity and just goes directly to the source of truth itself. Requirements. So a couple of requirements we got. You got to have Docker installed, and you got to have, at least in this case, Claude Desktop. There are other clients as well. In this case, I've only been kind of experimenting with Claude Desktop, so that's why I'm mentioning it here. How the flow works is that you set up an MCP server locally. That will usually spin up in a Docker instance. And then from there, your client can then connect to whatever service that you want connected to. So if you want Claude to look at the file system, maybe specifying in the chat that please look at the file system, look at the project directory in the file system to determine how to fix this bug or implement this new feature, or you tell it, go to GitHub. The reason why I mentioned the Max or Pro is probably ideal for this situation is, well, it takes up chat space and chat time. And you only have a limited amount of chats that you can really do on free and pro. I had the pro version about a month ago. I found it was not working for me in terms of the chat capacity. So upgrading to Max has been immensely helpful. You have to determine for yourself whether it's worth it to be at the Max plan, because then this solution slash workaround won't work as effectively for you. So, and apologies if that's kind of a bummer, but there are trade-offs to using these LLMs at this point in time, and hopefully a year or two from now it'll be much more robust and available for cheaper prices, because it'll only just get better and better, and prices hopefully go down. Well, that's me being kind of idealistic a little. Back to the setup here. To set up the actual configuration for your GitHub or file system service or any other service, there's a developer tab within Claude Desktop and a sort of a config file, which I'll link below and I'll put on the screen right now. That pretty much sets up the MCP server configuration, and after you restart your client or Claude Desktop, it'll pretty much spin up a Docker instance, and then you could pretty much immediately talk to your chat. Now with GitHub, you do have to set a sort of PAT token and granted access to different permissions, and there's a variety of permissions on GitHub that you could allow Claude Desktop to do. For example, you could allow it the permission to create pull requests. You could allow it to create delete files. There's a lot of permissions that you could do, and it's quite expansive. And it's dependent on what your needs are and what you're comfortable with in terms of how you want Claude to interact with your GitHub account, pretty much. File system, you just direct it to the folder that you're working in, so the project folder, and you'll see in the document that I have below that it's just, yeah, the project folder. Anyways, this has helped me immensely in terms of getting around the capacity issues, and allows me more flexibility for Claude to have a more complete analysis of the code base as it goes along and as it grows. And for me, peace of mind in general. But I'm learning MCP and AI just as anyone else, and I'm mainly creating this video to help others, and also to reinforce in my brain as well on how things work. So If I missed anything or got anything wrong, please let me know. I'm really open to any feedback and or discussions in the comments about MCPs or AI or Claude in general. And please let me know what you think. My name is Brendan. I hope you found this video useful, and take care, guys.